All right, let's dive into one of the most hyped and, let's be honest, most misunderstood technologies out there, blockchain. We're going to break down what it really is, how it actually works, and unpack this massive claim that it could be the next big revolution, right after the internet itself. So, to really wrap our heads around blockchain, we have to start with a question. It seems super simple, but it's actually really deep. You can copy a photo or an email a million times, and every single copy is perfect, right? But you can't just copy $1. Why is that? The answer to that little puzzle is the key to this whole thing.
And that puzzle gets us right to what you could call the internet's missing piece. See, the original internet was an absolute masterpiece, but it was built for one thing: moving information. It wasn't designed to handle unique digital value.
This really is the perfect way to look at it. The information internet we all know and love, its superpower is perfect copying. That's what makes it great. But when you're talking about stuff that has real value, like money or stocks, well, copying's a disaster. You can't have a system where I send you a digital dollar and I still have a copy of it in my wallet. So how have we been dealing with this problem up until now? Simple. We trust middlemen. We rely on these big, centralized institutions, banks, governments, you name it, to be the official scorekeeper, the one ledger of who owns what. But that trust comes at a price, right? It costs us fees, and it puts an enormous amount of power into the hands of just a few big players.
And that brings us to the big idea. What if we could build a system that creates trust, not through some powerful institution, but just with math and code? What if we could build a trust machine?
And that, right there, is basically what a blockchain is. Seriously, forget all the crazy jargon for a second. At its core, a blockchain is just a database, a ledger, that doesn't live in one place. Instead, it's shared and copied across a huge network of computers. Everybody on the network has their own copy of the exact same ledger. It's a shared, single source of truth.
This is exactly why The Economist gave it that perfect name, the trust machine. It's a system that's literally designed to manufacture trust between people who don't know each other, all without needing a central boss. The trust isn't in a person or a company, it's baked right into the network and the code itself.
So how does this machine actually work? Well, let's walk through a transaction. First, you say, I want to send money. That request gets broadcast to everyone on the network. Then, all the computers on the network, they're called nodes, check it out to make sure it's legit. Once they give it the thumbs up, your transaction gets bundled together with a bunch of others into a new block. Then, and this is the clever part, that block gets cryptographically locked to the one before it, forming a secure chain. And boom, it's done. The ledger is updated for everyone, and your transaction is now a permanent public part of the record.
Now this is what makes it so secure. Because literally thousands, maybe even millions, of computers all have a copy of the ledger, trying to cheat the system is nearly impossible. To change just one little thing, you couldn't just change your own copy. Oh no. You'd have to successfully attack and change the records on more than half of the computers in the entire network, all at the same time. The sheer computing power you'd need is just staggering.
Okay, so a super secure shared ledger. That's amazing. But that's just the beginning. What if the blockchain could do more than just remember transactions? What if it could actually carry out agreements all by itself? Well, this is where we get into the really mind-bending idea of smart contracts.
And you know, this idea has actually been around for a while. A computer scientist and cryptographer, Nick Szabo, dreamed up this concept way back in 1994. He imagined these digital contracts that were basically computer programs that could enforce their own rules.
Probably the easiest way to think about this is like a digital vending machine. It's simple, right? You put in money, that's the condition, and the machine automatically spits out a snack. That's the action. There's no cashier, there's no arguing, the rules are just built into the machine. A smart contract is the exact same thing. It's just a bit of code that says, if this happens, then do that. And since it runs on the blockchain, nobody can stop it or change it once it's set in motion.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is just night and day. A traditional contract is just words on paper. You have to trust the other person will follow through, and if they don't, you have to rely on a slow, expensive legal system. A smart contract? It's written in computer code. It doesn't need trust, it runs on pure certainty. The code is the enforcement. And that leads to this really powerful saying in the crypto world, code is law.
Okay, so if we can automate agreements, what's the next logical step? What if we could automate an entire organization? This leads us to one of the most radical ideas to ever come out of blockchain, the DAO.
A DAO, which stands for Distributed Autonomous Organization, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's an organization, like a company or a community group, that runs entirely on rules written into smart contracts. There's no CEO, no board of directors, no managers. The code is the rulebook, and the organization basically runs itself on the blockchain.
You can really see this as the next step in a bigger story. Think of it in phases. Blockchain 1.0 was all about programmable money. That's your Bitcoin. Then 2.0 brought us programmable finance with smart contracts. And now Blockchain 3.0 is aiming for a programmable society, where things like DAOs could change everything from how we invest to how we manage supply chains.
Okay, this all sounds pretty wild, right? But it brings up a huge, very practical question. If a DAO is just code running on a network with no normal company structure, how do the people who build it and invest in it actually make any money?
Well, the answer is this really clever economic idea called the fuel currency theory. Here's how it goes. The project creates its own unique digital token. Think of it like the network's own special currency, or its fuel. Now, to use the services on that network, you have to buy and pay with that specific token. So, as the project gets better and more popular, more people need the token to use it. That increased demand, usually with a limited supply of tokens, pushes the price up.
And what's so brilliant about this is how it perfectly aligns everyone's interests. The creators and the early investors, they're holding these tokens, so they are directly motivated to make the project better. A better service brings in more users, which increases demand for the token, which, you guessed it, raises the value of the tokens they're holding. It's this beautiful, self-reinforcing cycle of growth.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've talked about these digital ledgers, contracts that run themselves, and even organizations without bosses. But what does it all add up to? Why should anyone outside of the tech world care about this? Well, the potential here, it's just staggering. Some people who are really deep in this space believe that blockchain marks a fundamental shift in how we humans work together. They're saying it could be the start of the first truly global, large-scale collaboration humanity has ever seen.
And if you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Blockchain isn't just a new piece of technology. It's a new tool for organizing ourselves. For centuries, we've built our societies around big institutions, companies, governments, banks. Blockchain offers a totally different way, organizing based on shared truth, on code that anyone can check, and on mutual interest, all without needing someone in the middle to call the shots.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. The first wave of the internet gave us an information revolution. It completely changed how we find and share knowledge. The big question for our generation is this: will blockchain give us a trust revolution and fundamentally change how we agree on what's true and how we work together on a global scale? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching.